Michael Steele, I don't have to tell you, you were once in charge of the political fate of everyone running under the banner as a Republican, but abortion bans that ban abortion in the cases of rape, incest, and life of the mother are like 85% issues. 85% of humans, Americans, men, women, Democrats, and Republicans think that's a bad idea. 65% of Americans think Roe should stay. The abortion debate, even on the right, is about things that don't actually happen. The right is against on-demand abortion. That isn't a reality in America. They've been sort of fighting against straw men. And I wonder if you think it's a political peril to be on the side of banning abortion, including their states looking at eliminating exceptions for the life of the mother.
Potentially. So let's start with point number one. The 20th century wasn't a bucket of popcorn for blacks and women, and certainly for gay and lesbian and transgendered individuals. So, if you've got to go back to the 17th century, you're in a whole new space of constitutional reasoning. The second point is you're absolutely right, particularly with respect to rape and incest. Everybody across the spectrum, and particularly in the pro-life community, always understood and carved out that exception because of the heinous nature of it, because of actually, and somewhat ironically, the concern for the emotional and other impacts on the individuals involved. So there's always been a sensitivity there. What Justice Alito is now saying is giving voice to an ascendant conservative position that looks in absolutist terms. And I suspect Justice Roberts and perhaps maybe one other conservative justice has a problem with that, which is why this was leaked, so that opinion, that position could be locked in place. We'll see if that's the case. But it is something from a political standpoint, Nicole, to your more important point, that has a lot of very deadly tentacles attached to it for the party. It goes back to what I was saying in the last segment. Yeah. We've already seen these laws come on the books, right? So the question to the people who live in those states, with those legislators who put that, what's your response to those legislators? Do you reelect those individuals? Because if you do, that means you are in agreement with that particular position for your state. And so in one sense, a lot of us who believe that matters like this belong to the states to decide, that's going to be a tested theory, not just for the legislators, but for the citizens themselves, if what you cited in the polling shows that they are much more accepting of a broader array of abortion rights than are being narrowly articulated at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, Michelle, if you had one wish for how this debate proceeds, I think that it's always important to add this note that the political process, the legal process is slow. Women's lives are going to be impacted by this quickly, immediately. They already are in places like Texas. What is sort of your cautionary tale or your wish for how this debate proceeds in a way that's real and productive?
Well, the cautionary tale is that the United States is the deadliest place in the developed world for a woman to be pregnant. We rank 55th, not close to Germany, France, the countries we typically see ourselves as allied with. Instead, we're in the area of Russia and Saudi Arabia. It's safer to give birth in Saudi Arabia than in the United States. And if we look at Mississippi, the subject of this leaked draft opinion, 80% of the cardiac deaths during pregnancy are amongst Black women. So this is a deadly proposition that's taking place here. These are not matters of inconvenience. We're talking about death sentences that's occurring when we strip away the right to be able to terminate a pregnancy. And we already see that in these states that do very little to help people when they are pregnant be able to carry their pregnancies to term with dignity and saving their lives. So that's the hard part about where we are. But I'm also hopeful, too, because we've seen this playbook before. And really what this is a third Reconstruction that we need to call for. If the first one was to free Black people from slavery and the second one was during the Civil Rights Movement, it's time for a third Reconstruction. And central to that should be a reproductive justice New Deal.
Michelle Goodwin, it's a privilege to get to talk to you. Michael Steele, it's always a privilege to have you around. Thank you both for spending time with us today.